Hey, good morning everyone. I'm CS2 Arteaga, and today I'll be going over types of wardroom and meal services. So a little bit about myself before we start. I've been in the Navy for about 6 years and I have a lot of experience up in the wardroom when it comes to dining table and setup and service. So a little bit about safety. So in case there's a fire, we're going to evacuate through that door, go down the ladder rail, and we're to muster outside with our class seater in case there's an active shooter. We're gonna barricade these two doors with the desks, and then we're gonna shut off the lights and then call the authority and wait for further instruction. So our objectives for today, so we're going to describe what a formal wardroom service is and also describe what an informal wardroom service is. Are there any questions before we move on?
No, CS2.
Cool. So a formal service, so this type of meal service requires more advanced planning, detailed preparation, and an elaborate tableware than any other service. So as you can tell in this picture, it's a picture of myself and I used to work in or help out, volunteer in an admiral's house. So this specific day we served and cooked for a few of his guests. So as you can tell on the table, it is nice, elaborate, has a bunch of flowers, has a bunch of nice silverware properly set up. So that would be an example of a formal setup. Informal service, so there's 5 types of informal services. So the first one we got American style, a la carte, which is normally used for breakfast. We got buffet style, cafeteria style, and family. Are there any questions before we move on?
No, CS2.
Alright, so our first one is American style. So their service is used in most restaurants. So think of like Olive Garden or Red Lobster. You have your menu, and then you pick whatever item you want, and then the food is made to order. Next, we got a la carte. So this type of service is usually, like I said earlier, provided for breakfast. So it is very similar to American style as well. Next, we got buffet style. The more common one we have or we see is in the Chinese restaurants, the Chinese buffets. So the food is arranged in the serving table and the diners serve themselves. Next, we got cafeteria style. So the diner selects the desired food item and then they get served. So think of like the galley or the defect where you're going through the line. You pick whatever food you want and then they serve it to you. The last one is family. So the dishes are placed on the dining table and then the diners, they pass the food around. Think of it like Thanksgiving. So that would be an example of family style when all the food is in the center of the table and then they pass it around like a family. Are there any questions before we move on?
No, CS2.
Alright, so our summary. So today we described and went over what a formal wardroom service is, and we also described what an informal service is. Are there any questions before we move on to the review?
No, CS2.
Alright, so a question, the first one. So which type of service requires more advanced planning and detailed preparation? Seaman Richardson.
It's a formal service.
Yes, that is correct. So like I said earlier, a formal service, it does require more detailed and planned preparation. Next question, so what is family style? Seaman Cole?
Family style is when the dishes are placed in the center of the table and they are passed around to everyone to serve.
Yes, that is correct. Good job. So an example of family style, like I said earlier, is think of like Thanksgiving, where all the food's in the center of the table and then you just pass it around. And then lastly, again, a reminder on safety. In case there's a fire, we're going to evacuate through that door, head down the ladder rail, and muster outside with our class seater. In case there's an active shooter, we are going to barricade these two doors and with our desks, shut off the lights, and then call the authority and follow the proper instructions. Again, I'm CS2 Arteaga, and thank you for showing up to this training.